Hey, what's going on, guys? Good morning, good morning, good morning. I hope you guys are doing well. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. Welcome to drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. I want to talk about Robinhood and dig deeper into what happened last week. A lot of you have been investing, which makes me very happy. You know, I've been yelling at y'all about investing for about 15 years, and thank God people are listening. I'm glad you're listening. And a lot of you made money last week. Some of you lost money. But that's the way the game is played. Sometimes you do well, sometimes you don't. But what I wanted to, first of all, do is say hello. Good morning to everybody. I shouldn't be rude, but I was doing research today and really looking into what happened last week. As you know, last week, Robinhood was in the center of attention. There was a lot of chaos going on with the Robinhood app. And but what Robinhood basically did was right when there was chaos in the middle of the market, right when the traders on Reddit got together and started boosting GameStop for whatever reason. They chose GameStop. I can't explain why, some people do things or why a 22-year-old would do anything. I don't know. I do my best. I try. I talk college students for a long time, so I understand the mind of a 22-year-old a little bit. But then again, I don't pretend to understand everything. But for whatever reason, they chose GameStop. They pushed GameStop up. And right when GameStop was at its peak, right when the stock price was at its absolute peak, Robinhood makes the announcement that we're no longer allowing you to trade GameStop anymore. You can sell it, but you cannot buy it. Which right there instantly, that triggers my spidey senses, because I'm thinking, if you can only sell a commodity, but you don't let people buy it, well, buying pushes that creates upward pressure. Selling creates downward pressure. So I said, of course, the stock price is going to drop because you're creating a one-way highway. You got a highway that's supposed to be going north and south, but instead you cut off the northern lane and said you can drive on the highway, but you must go south. Well, then everybody's going to go south. You get what I'm saying? Give me a yes in the chat if you follow what I'm talking about here. You do not need a PhD in finance to understand the analogy that I just gave you. It's not something that requires you to even have a bachelor's degree. Everybody knows that if everybody's going south, then everybody's going to be going south. So here's what was going on. And this has really intrigued me for the last few days. And I got a brother, Tony Lindsay, who's going to come and join me because he shared some information as well that led me to investigate. So I said, okay, you know what, brother, you should come on in. Tony's on the Black Boss channel. He's a smart guy. And so basically I did a lot of research into what could have caused this to happen? What's the precedent? What is, what's really going on here? What can we really say about this market dynamic? Well, the first thing I thought about was the fact that Robinhood is an interesting app. Robinhood claims that their objective is to, as they say, democratize finance. Democratization basically means getting the little guy involved, empowering little people to get them to become investors. And I've always believed in that. You guys know, I've always said that the number one pathway to wealth in America right now is the stock market. As of right now, which has actually been true for the last 100 years, the way to go from middle class to upper class is the stock market. If you don't participate in the stock market, it's hard to elevate or take yourself to the next level if you don't do that. And but the problem is that sometimes to get a certain goal accomplished, you have to be careful about forming healthy or unhealthy relationships. So what Robinhood did was they said, look, we want to get people involved in the game by making trades free, making trades commission free. You used to have to pay a commission. Now you don't on a Robinhood app. Well, here's the thing. In economics, we have a concept called there's no such thing as a free lunch. And that means that if I give you something free, that means somebody's paying the bill. I've even said that to you guys on this platform. I've said to you that, look, there's some things we do in the Black Business School. I could offer these things. I could do everything for free, but be careful when you ask a Black business owner to give everything for free, because there's no such thing as a free lunch. If I got a team of employees, somebody's got to pay those people. Somebody's got to pay the bills up in this month, right? So if I offer things to you for free, that means I got Mr. Charlie in the back who says, I'll pay your bills if you go congregate the Negroes and get them to all participate, right? So Bank of America shows up and says, hey, Dr. Boyce, we'll write you a big endorsement check if you get Black people to sign up with Bank of America for free bank accounts or whatever, right? Well, the reason I walk away from those relationships is because the number one rule in economics in general, and I'm going to bring Tony Lindsay in here in a second, but I want to make this point. The number one rule in economics, this is what I call economic maturity. I've talked to you guys about economic maturity before. The number one rule in economics is that he who has the gold makes the rules. He who pays the bills calls the shots. You got to pay the cost to be the boss. When I was 16 years old, getting smart aleck with my parents, talking back to my mama, talking back to my daddy said, okay, you got to get out because you're in my house and you ain't going to be talking to me like that in my house where I'm paying the bills. You get what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying? Anybody else have parents that had common sense? You know what I'm talking about? Now, why is that important as it relates to Robinhood? Well, because with Robinhood, my number one question was, if the investors are not paying the bills, who is? And depending on who's paying the bills, that's going to create certain incentives within the organization that could appear to be problematic. So this is what we're going to dig into, and I'm going to bring Tony Lindsay in so we can dig into this a little bit deeper so you can understand why there's a problem with Robinhood and why there may be some evidence of some degree of criminality actually in this situation. So I'm going to bring Tony in right now. How you doing today, brother?
Hey, how you doing, brother? Everything's good?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Looks like you're on the road.
Yeah. I'm going to pull over right now, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Okay,
Man, well, we're glad to know you're safe, man. I don't want my last image of you to be, you laying in a bloody pulp on the side of the road. So, so be very careful, man. All right, so Tony, I kind of set the stage in terms of what I saw with Robinhood. I wanted to invite you.
Am I still here?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, I'm back.
Okay, great.
Sorry, it was bad signal where I was.
Oh, okay, no problem. So I set the stage a little bit with the Robinhood conversation in terms of the fact that what appears to be going on is that Robinhood has some really bad incentives set up. That basically they've got this relationship with a company called Citadel Securities, if I'm not mistaken, where Citadel is responsible for a third of their revenue, and Citadel has a relationship with a company called Melvin Capital, which benefited tremendously when Robinhood shut down trading. Can you kind of speak to that? And actually, while you speak, I'm gonna make you full screen. I got to run the little boys' room real quick, but I want everybody to hear what you have to say. Go ahead, brother.
Okay, yeah. So Melvin Capital is the company that we've been hearing about for a little while that had that really huge short interest in GameStop, and the stake that they took out in GameStop. Now, when they take out a short interest, what that means is that they're basically betting for the company to fail, right? And short sellers, historically, what they do is they drive down the stock price of certain companies, their shares, and they make a profit from that. So for a long time, they have been shorting GameStop. And a lot of times you'll see that GameStop, they'll get like pretty great news. And, you'll see, the share price go up a little bit, but then it always just kind of tanks and goes right back down. That's what short sellers do. They have an interest in the share prices going down. That's how they make their money. However, a Reddit user happened to notice that these guys were just getting a little bit too greedy, and they shorted, I think, like upwards of 125% of the shares, right? So that's just basically like a very greedy move. So that's pretty much what precipitated this. Now, because of the Wall Street Bets movement, what you saw was people driving the price of GameStop up, and that forced these guys to lose a lot of money, basically, because they're going to have to pay back the money. They're going to have to pay back those shares that they shorted. And I guess I don't want to get into the full details because a lot of people may not understand this. But what happened is that they had to go to a company called Citadel. Citadel basically bailed them out, and they loaned them $2.75 billion to be able to cover, to cover their margin calls. Now, right after they got that money from Citadel, it disappeared in a day because of the Redditors shooting the price right back up. So now all the money that Citadel loaned to Melvin Capital, that money disappeared, right? Melvin Capital is still in the hole for all of the money that they lost due to the short. So here comes the problem. Everybody lost their money. All of these billionaires lost their money, and GameStop prices are still going up. So Citadel, who actually has a very large stake in Robinhood, it's speculated. I can only say speculated. It's speculated that a phone call was made, and they told Robinhood, "Listen, we lost a whole lot of money, and being that we have an interest in your company, a very heavy interest in your company because they buy their order flow, you better do something about this to ensure that we get our money back." So when you look at Robinhood, and just take a look at when they halted the trading. Well, they didn't halt the trading. They halted the purchase of GameStop, AMC, and other companies. And the reason why they halted that is because that will pretty much guarantee that the stock price is going to tank. It's going to go down. Who makes money when the price goes down? Short sellers.
Short sellers, yep.
So if you think about it, all that money that disappeared, and these guys, they still have their positions in there, right? They're going to get their money back. Now, before Robinhood halted the purchase of those stocks, remember, it's at the top. It was at the price ceiling when they did this. See, and that's another thing. You know, you had the founder go on TV and say, "Oh no, there was no malfeasance. There was no agenda behind this." So then, why did you halt people from buying the stock when it hit the ceiling? That means that is the widest spread. That means that is the biggest opportunity for you to make the most money as the share prices go down. So everyone, so let's just think about this a little bit. These guys have the opportunity to make all their money back and then some. And you know where the then some comes from? When the stock price goes right back up. Because they've made money on the way down. Don't think they're not going to double down and they're going to buy a whole bunch of calls and get in on this now. And as we, and you know, as I'll say we, but as everyone, you know, is with the YOLO Wall Street bets movement, we're driving the share prices up. They're making billions of dollars right next to you. So they can bellyache and cry on the news all they want, but they're making money off of everything that happens here. But one thing that should be noted is that these actions are criminal actions, if that is what happened. If they decided that they were going to save these billionaires and have them make money off of your losses, remember that they guaranteed that you would lose money, and all that money went to a specific group of people who had an interest in their company.
Right. So you know, the thing that's interesting, and I want to summarize for everybody in case you were trying to follow and I didn't grab everything. So just to summarize, so tell me if this is if you're in agreement with this. So Robinhood, because they offer commission-free trades, has a relationship where they sell order flow to Citadel Securities. So what that means to sell order flow means that basically the customer is the product. You are the product. When you get on Robinhood, even when you get on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, you are the product. They're selling you, right? That's why it's free. Same thing when you watch TV. TV is free because they're selling you. They're selling the audience. When you go to vote, there are people that are selling you as a voter, right? So you're being sold. You're being commodified, whether you know it or not. So Robinhood is selling the order flow, the orders from all these investors to Citadel. So Citadel, and Citadel's not a small partner with Robinhood. They actually contribute 35% of the company's total revenue, right? So imagine somebody's paying 35% of your bills. Well, if they call you, you're gonna answer the phone, right? So Citadel, and so here's the thing, right? So the reason that the Robinhood, the Reddit Wall Street Bets guys were fighting against these hedge funds was because one particular company, Melvin Capital, had taken a massive short position on GameStop. And I don't know if were they on AMC as well, or was it just GameStop?
Well, it initially precipitated because of GameStop. I don't know if they had a short on AMC, but these hedge funds, they typically you'll typically see them invest in a lot of these. They all pretty much do this in alignment with each other. So I'm sure they didn't just have a position with GameStop. Remember, they're targeting the most heavily shorted stocks right now, the Reddit movement. So it wouldn't be a surprise if Melvin Capital wasn't also shorting AMC, but I could look that up.
So Melvin Capital was the culprit, right? So Melvin Capital is the bad guy in the minds of the Reddit users, right? It's like, okay, that's the enemy. We're gonna push up the stock price to cause them to lose money. Melvin Capital is freaking out because they're losing billions, like billions and billions of dollars. And in fact, they lost so much money that they were going bankrupt. So think about this. You're fighting for your economic life. You've lost billions of dollars and you need money, right? So they get a loan. They get a loan for about 2.5, 2 point, or between, was it 2.7, 2.5? So what's 2.7, 2.5? But what's a couple $100 million difference?
It's just a little change.
Right. So they're borrowing like this amount. Let's say it's 2.7 billion. And the company that gave them the money was Citadel. Now, Citadel has 2.7 billion on the line when they loan it to Melvin Capital. Melvin's getting body slammed by the Redditors. Well, why wouldn't there be an incentive for the Citadel to protect their capital? Remember, I told you guys when we talk about finance, I say the number one goal of a wealthy person when you all become wealthy is to protect your capital. Just like a quarterback's number one job is to protect the ball, right? So they're protecting the ball. They're like, we don't want to lose another bag to these stupid kids on Reddit. So they call up, allegedly, this is the accusation, that they pressured Robinhood to shut down trading in a way that specifically benefited the person that they had loaned money to. That just, I mean, if there's any shred of evidence that this, and in fact, I don't even know if evidence is, I mean, it's so circumstantially powerful that it's like you happen to be the one who happened to benefit to the tune of billions of dollars when trading was shut down in a specific way. The government didn't order this. Robinhood says, well, we were protecting the consumers. There's no consumers that are saying, yeah, we felt protected when you shut down my ability to go in and keep doing what I was doing. Like there's nobody on Reddit saying, oh, thank you for protecting us. For protecting us in a way we didn't ask you to protect us, but for some reason you're claiming you protected us. It sounds like a bunch of BS. What do you say, Tony?
Yeah, it's definitely a bunch of BS. And we also got to consider that Citadel, they lost like 15% of their entire worth, the value of their company, just behind this. So there is huge incentive. I mean, just because they didn't overtly say, hey, we made a call over to Vladimir and we told him that you guys better shut this up. Just because they didn't actually come out and say that, I mean, come on, the writing is on the wall. I mean, the conflict of interest is there. It's a blatant conflict of interest. And we have to remember this imposition that was placed on traders, it did not come at the hands of the New York Stock Exchange. It didn't come at the hands of the NASDAQ. The SEC didn't get involved. It was Robinhood that made this decision. You understand? The person who is selling your order flow, selling your information, selling your trades to someone else who's losing money because you got smart. So when you look at it from that aspect, someone definitely needs to go to jail. And if we want to be very real about this is probably the most overt display of the protection of the billionaire class since Barack Obama bailed out the banks and still allowed them to snatch up 50% of the wealth of the Black community.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, as I was kind of digging in, I said, okay, let me take a minute and kind of connect the dots on this here, and when I did that this morning, I said, oh my good Lord, this is a whole new level of corruption. I mean, really the drug dealers are running the police department, basically, so to speak.
Yes.
That's how crazy that it's that level of crazy. Now here's the thing that I think too, Tony, is that I just think there's going to be a lot of regulations passed across the board. I don't think that. I mean, we know what we think the billionaires probably did, right? No question about it. But I was actually surprised that there's also allowed to be sort of this very blatant stock price manipulation that might occur even on a forum like a Reddit bets or Wall Street bets or whatever. Because a lot of people, I mean, the thing is, you don't really know what the motivations are behind the people that are involved in those forums. There's a lot of examples of movements politically and otherwise that on the surface appear to be grassroots, but they're not.
Right.
Like the Tea Party movement, that wasn't grassroots, but they made it look grassroots. A lot of people think even Black Lives Matter, George Soros and all that, they started digging deep on that, right? So I almost feel like with the Wall Street bets thing, I was really surprised that there's not something that can, because remember, at the end of the day, you need, when you're talking about stock markets where your goal is to protect little old ladies who are just investing for retirement. You know, like people that just are like, look, I ain't trying to make a quick dollar. I just want to make sure my dollar's safe. Well, they want to have stable markets. And so when you have people, whether it's somebody that's on the internet or someone that's on Wall Street, using the market as a casino, creating chaos and volatility, and it's artificial, by the way, that just seems to call for some sort of involvement from a figure that can say, whoa, no, this is too much. Because remember, GameStop is a crappy stock. I never would have bought that stock. I mean, that's, you know, right. There's nothing real about the inflation of the value of GameStop at all, right? And so somebody just randomly decided, somebody on Wall Street bets, because they have power too. Remind you, the billionaires ain't the only ones that got power. If you run a farm with 2 million people on it, you got power too. Just like the billionaires, right? So somebody just decided, okay, let's take this stock that has no value and let's just pump it up. And you cannot tell me in a billion years, you can never convince me that they're doing it just because they want to, you know, take from the rich and give to the poor. I believe that they in there like, okay, I read tons of stories. I mean, I got students that had made $100,000 this week on that stock. You know, so you can't tell me that it's all about we're gonna just do the right thing or stick it to the man. It's also like I'm gonna go in here and get my money, and if I know I can artificially inflate the price of a stock and do a pump and dump anytime I want without any scrutiny whatsoever, that seems to be something that needs to be regulated. What do you think?
See, man, it's like a two-sided argument. But yes, like this shows like a really good example of how movements can be infiltrated, right? I mean, we've seen infiltration of a lot of movements that we think, you know, it's like populist messages, you know, stick it to the man. And for the most part, the message will always be good, but it also makes you vulnerable to infiltration by other entities that can capitalize off of it. I mean, that's just basically what always happens. So even though this movement, we can attribute it to people, you know, wanting to fight back and stick it to the man, which I do think that is a central idea of it, but this is also a money-making opportunity. A lot of people are making a lot of money off of this, and we have to be careful because we know that while one group is making money, another group is losing a lot of money. And in this particular situation, that group is going to be the small investor, the person that doesn't know much about anything and is just jumping on Robinhood. So while I do agree that there should be common sense regulation, there should be regulations, yes. However, the problem that we have historically been seeing is that the regulations have been ignored. So there are regulations, but they've been ignored.
Yeah.
For one group, those regulations have been ignored. I mean, if you're going to like regulate this situation, then you're going to have to also target the same billionaires who have been making a lot of money off of manipulating the market for a very long time. So, I mean, unless you're going to like all out, like ban speculation all around, like you're going to have to show some type of fairness in this. And I'm particularly interested in what the SEC is going to do regarding this, because they just put out an announcement saying that they're going to be, you know, looking into this, and they're going to make sure that retail investors are protected. But that's an equivocal statement. And it is an equivocal statement because most of the language that is used to disenfranchise us is always framed as for our protection. So just because you heard him say that, don't go thinking that, oh yeah, we're going to save you guys. Nah, bro. They're going to impose more restrictions on you in order to protect you. The same way that they censor you, it's for your own good and your own protection. So I say everyone should pay attention to what's going on right now. Really keep a keen eye on this, because what they do next is really going to speak to their true intentions as it pertains to the American people.
Yeah. I think, you know, and you're 100% correct. I mean, the big problem we have in America is that the billionaires run the government. And so it's not a surprise when elected officials do things that tend to benefit billionaires or let them get a pass and hit regular people hard. What I'm really seeing with this whole situation with Reddit versus the billionaires is I don't see everybody in the same category on the Reddit side. I see the leaders and the and just the sharp investors that know how to catch a trend before it hits its peak. And then I see
already.
Yeah, right. Many of those people have jumped ship. You know, I read stories today about people that sold all their stock after they saw it was pumping up and whatever. And then you got those people that really truly just believe in the movement. You know, just like every other movement. Like when I would go talk about Black Lives Matter and the origins of Black Lives Matter and what I found in my investigation. You know, I felt bad because I have a lot of friends that really believe in what, you know, in that idea, that idea that Black Lives Matter. And they, you know, I think they would interpret that analysis to mean that you're assaulting their ideals. And it's like, no, what I'm talking about is the people that are exploiting your core ideals for their own benefit, because it's a power game, right? That's why it's important to read books like Powernomics so you can understand how power works. And so I think in this particular situation, there's going to be some sort of regulation on people that run large forums so they can't just do arbitrary pump and dumps. Because believe me, they're sitting there planning on the next stock. They're like, okay, the next area we're going to go siege is this one. And it'd be different if they were a bunch of activist investors that said, you know, we really like GameStop. We want to help them modernize. We want to encourage everybody to jump in, buy the stock, hold it so that we can all go make this a better company. But that's not what they're doing. They're not trying to have sex so they can make a baby. They're trying to have sex so they can get off, right? So they're trying to get in there and make this money, make this quick paper, bounce out, and go to the next target, almost like in a parasitic kind of fashion. And what happens is the people that get hurt the most isn't just the billionaires, right? I think the billionaires are going to be okay. They're going to find a way to adjust. They're going to start using it to their advantage. That's how I know how the Wall Street mind is, and they just adjust to the world. That's why they don't get caught up in elections and politics. They're like, we're gonna go make this money. Okay, and which way's the wind blowing? I'm gonna make money. It goes, like you said, they make money when it's going down. They make money when it's going up. The billionaires are gonna be fine. A lot of the leaders are gonna be fine. The people that you have to worry about are the people that don't understand what's going on, that jump in either because they believe in the noble cause or because they want to try to take advantage of what's going on there. If they're following the trend, but they don't understand when they're getting into the trend too late. They're getting into the musical chairs game after the music has stopped, and they get stuck holding the chair. And theoretically, that's who the SEC is supposed to protect. Is again, imagine the little old lady in Iowa who's just buying the stock because she read about it somewhere or her son told her about it, and it's 2 weeks too late. But now she's about to lose a big chunk of her retirement because she didn't really know what was going on. So what are your thoughts on this as we kind of walk away and see what's headed what we're headed toward in the future? What do you think?
See, the thing is, I think also in that protection that we seek by regulation, like whereas you're protecting the small investor from losing money, you're also protecting them from making money. So, you know, and I don't want us to paint the entire movement with one broad brush, to be honest, because we do know that there are people who are involved in this who are clearly manipulating this. You know, they want to make their money, but this is a movement that encompasses millions and millions of people who do want to just make some money. And if we're talking about manipulating the market, listen, this speaks to education and research. At the end of the day, it speaks to that. And we shouldn't always have to fall back on the excuse of, well, you know, we didn't know any better. You know, we just, the uninformed. Why is the argument that we're always uninformed? Shouldn't we start informing ourselves? Do your research so you can make a more informed decision about what you're doing. So I understand it. I empathize with those who get involved in this and do crazy stuff and lose money. I just saw a story about a young guy that took out a second mortgage on his parents' home and dumped it in GameStop. And I think he bought it at like $300 and it went down to like $90. Yeah. So someone like that, that's an idiot. See, that's not the type of investor that we should be, and that's why these sorts of, you know, like platforms like yours and others are important, because for years I've heard you appeal to the intellectual chocolate, the intelligent Black people out there. So listen, we got to make it fun. We got to make it sexy again to be smart and to want to grab new information. So yes, I get it. Regulations are needed, but at this point, I don't think that additional regulatory action needs to be implemented. Personally, I think this should serve as an example of what happens when you allow the billionaire class to continue to get away with malfeasance for so long, to where they basically have their hands around the neck of the little guy. So it's true. So it's like, I don't want to fight against our right to push back against this, because if they stop us from pushing back against this, then at the end of the day, the status quo wins again. The only problem is that we are stuck appealing to the status quo to correct the status quo.
Okay, well, fair enough. That's a good argument you made, man. I've got to bounce. I just had to do this quick conversation, and I wanted to invite you because I think it was worth discussing. I want everybody to be informed about what's going on. So everybody type the word informed. We are informed investors. So type the word informed in the chat, because that's our goal. You want to be smart. And Tony's a New Yorker. You live in New York, right? You got
I live in Brooklyn, New York.
Yeah. See, let me explain. See, Tony don't even Tony probably don't know this, but Tony, by being from Brooklyn, see, when you're from Brooklyn, you don't know how Brooklyn people compare to the rest of the world. Let me tell you about Brooklyn, why Brooklyn is literally my favorite city to visit. It's right there with London, and I love London. I love Houston. I love Oakland. Brooklyn is one of my favorite places on the planet because the black people in Brooklyn are survivors. They are also naturally intelligent, because in New York, you can't get by being a sucker. If you're a sucker, everybody's going to take everything you got. And I learned that when I was in Brooklyn, kind of studying the personality types. Brooklyn's very different from Alabama. So just no disrespect to those of you in Alabama, but you can learn a lot from the Brooklynites. And what he's basically saying is don't be a sucker, period. Be smart, be educated, be informed. And that way you can be ahead of the curve. So thanks a lot, Tony, man. It's great to see you, brother.
Appreciate it.
And everybody hit the thumbs up button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button before you go. Also subscribe to financialjuneteenth.tv.com. We talk about financial stuff all day long. You can also text the word BOYCE to 31996. If you want to get text alerts when we go live, text BOYCE to 31996. So take care. Have a good day, everybody. We'll see you soon.